welcome into Wilson Live. I think this is episode 9. We are slowly working our way through Wilson County, trying to meet as many folks as we can. Today, we are fortunate to be at Green Hill High School to talk a little bit about the Green Hill High School Choir. Surely, a couple of months ago, you saw where one of the Green Hill High School choirs has been recognized at the state level, and I'm super excited to talk a little bit about that today and give everyone across the school district and across the state a little bit better idea of what that looks like and what that preparation process looks like. But without further ado, I would like to introduce Christina Baxley, the choir director at Green Hill High School. Do you call yourself the choir director, director of choral studies? What is your actual title?
It's just choir director.
Just choir director. Great. I know everybody has a different title.
I'm not that bougie.
Well, listen, I tried not to be, and fingers crossed it. We've all got a title. Hopefully it doesn't get too, I like that word, bougie. So, so Christina, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about how you got to Green Hill. This is a really new school. Just tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm not originally from Tennessee. I'm originally from Florida, Panama City. I grew up where you guys vacation.
Great.
And apparently I didn't stay there. I don't know what. But I moved up here probably 13 or 14 years ago. I got a music ed degree at the Baptist College of Florida, which you've probably never heard of.
What city is that in?
It's in Graceville, Florida. They don't even have like a Walmart.
Okay, great.
They have a Piggly Wiggly.
And there's lots of Walmarts in Florida, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, it was very small. It worked for me, but anyway, I moved up here after I graduated. My family actually all lives here now, which is kind of funny. It's a longer story, but anyway, I got up here and I started teaching elementary. So I was at Watertown Elementary for 6 years.
Wow, I knew you were at Watertown Elementary. I didn't realize you were there for 6 years.
I was,
goodness.
Which was hugely beneficial.
Sure.
Because sometimes high schoolers are just really big kindergartners.
We're all elementary school kids. It doesn't matter if we're 45, 55, or 5.
Oh, for sure.
We're all elementary school kids at heart.
Yeah, so I learned a lot there. I got my footing in teaching and had some really great mentors there that saved me and kept me in teaching. And so then the school opened up and they were accepting applications, and I was like, I want to step my foot into high school teaching. I did my student teaching in high school. And so I was really excited about the opportunity. So I was like, I'll just apply and see what happens. And so I applied and got an interview and they hired me. So I'm super grateful for that. And so, I've been here since the school opened. It's been open 6 years. So
that's a quick 6 years.
It's a very quick 6 years.
And it might have just been the chaos of the world that was happening right when this high school opened, but that feels like it was not 6 years ago.
It doesn't. And yes, when COVID and this simultaneously were happening. And so when the school opened, I didn't even have a choir room. We weren't here. Yeah. I was in some random classroom on the 3rd floor. And they were trying to open, and half of it was virtual, and it was a mess.
It was a mess.
So that for sure made it feels like 3 years, but
sure.
It's double that time. So,
but you've gotten to this point in a really quick 6 years,
yes.
And have been able to develop a pretty comprehensive choral program in a short amount of time that is now being recognized by performing at the state level, which is a huge deal. It's a huge deal for any group, but especially so for a group that really has only been in existence for, 6 years? Wilson County has a pretty long-standing reputation in producing pretty strong choral programs. Mm-hmm. Not to brag, but I am thankful that I was a part of one of those when I was in high school. I learned a ton about what it is to be a musician, what it is to be a human, a performer, all those things at Mount Juliet High School with Miss Elliott. Mm-hmm. And even though I went the band director path, I learned a lot, and that just speaks a lot to the reputation that Wilson County has in the choral community and the work that you and everyone else in Wilson County is doing to uphold that. And just really excited to see how you've gotten here, but even more excited to see how this continues to move, not just through April at TMEA at your performance, but really over the next several years. And a part of that is you've developed a pretty successful culture. In education and the performing arts, we talk about the importance and the value of culture and how the students interact with each other, how they interact with you, how they interact with the community. What are some things that you have worked to develop through your culture that you think have kind of helped you to be successful to this point?
Yeah, I would never claim to be the most knowledgeable director. Like, I have been a sponge since this school opened and tried to garner information from literally everyone who would give it to me.
And those are the best teachers. All teachers that are successful are, I'm not going to call them thieves, but we steal. If we want to be successful, we observe and we learn. So
you just got to be teachable at any point in
That's
your
a great
career. But I know what I am good at, and that's building relationships. I've been coaching as long as I've been in education. Coach soccer.
I was about to ask what you
girls
coached.
soccer. Just quit coaching because this program has kind of taken off. But I joke that I coach choir. And when you're in a choir, you're a part of a team, and it is a team sport all across the board. There are individual singers, but because of that, if you do not get along with your team on the field, like, people are going to pass to you. People aren't going to trust you. Like, all those things are true. And education, whether on the soccer field or in the choral classroom, runs on the rails of relationships. It's always going to. If kids don't know that you care and that other people care about them, they're not going to do what's best for the group. They don't have any buy-in. And so in that, my culture is based on respect. They will respect each other. They will respect me. And because there's a level of care, which honestly is all throughout Green Hill High School. Our principal, Dawson, preaches that. Like, there's going to be a level of excellence, but there's also going to be a culture of care. And so I've bought into that. That's very much who I am as a person. And so my kids care about each other, and that's why they're willing to work. That's why they're willing to do what needs to be done in their sections. That's why that's something they want to be a part of. Like, the culture here is just, it's not perfect. Like, it's never going to be perfect because there's people involved. But they want to be here and they want to be a part of it. I mean, we were just in here and there were probably 15 kids eating lunch in here, just enjoying the time together. And they literally are together all the time. I mean, they'll go hang out after school. Like, that's just part of who they are. And when there's issues that happen, like, we address them. We have constant conversation of like, hey, how do you feel about this? And there's a lot of buy-in. I respect them. I invite them into the process of like, hey, how do you guys feel about this? Tell me about this piece. What's going on in your life? All those things are happening. Those conversations are happening. It is not just education. It's also relational.
Sure. And in that relationship piece, that's true in any class. That's especially true in our performing and visual arts class, where we're asking students to maybe be a bit more vulnerable than they might be in another class, but that's true in any classroom. If a teacher wants to be successful, it starts with that relationship with that student. And that is something we notice a whole lot in your classroom. We'll talk a little bit more about how you found out about this performance in a little while, but that was one of those moments where it was pretty clear to me how strong your culture was and how much your students cared about not just the choir program, but each other and the trajectory that this choir is on. I didn't know what to expect when we were coming in. I kind of expected to have to explain a little bit, but they were super excited and excited for each other, not just for the moment, but for each other. And you're right. You give your students a lot of opportunity to contribute. You know, I was fortunate to be here for the last 30 minutes of your last class, and everything is a conversation. It's a conversation. What are you hearing? What can I do? Here's what I'm doing. Here's why I'm doing it. What do you think? And that constant cycle of feedback and ownership is huge. When a student has ownership in whatever it is, whether it's choir, whether it's soccer or band or football or any other program that we have, if there's ownership in that, the success rate goes way high, way high. If all I am is a participant and I am just here moving through emotion, there's a stop point in that. When there's ownership, I never stop growing. I never stop achieving. And your students have a ton of ownership in what they're doing. And a lot of that, all of that is due to what you've set up to this point and the opportunities that you give them, which is how you sustain success.
Correct.
You know, we can get to a success point, but if we don't continue to have the ownership and the culture and the buy-in from each and every kid and your students' families and your school community. That's to be noted. Your school community buys into what's happening in this room quite often. If those aren't all happening, then it gets stale and it just kind of starts to fluster out. So we've talked a little bit about your upcoming performance. What I have not talked about, though, is really what that performance is. So in April of this year is the 67th. I think it's the 67th. Oh, that's hilarious. That can't be right. It's got to be the 66th. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But I do know either the 67th just happened or it's coming. One of those annual Tennessee Music Education Association Professional Development Conference. And at that conference, one of the big highlights of the event are performing ensembles from across the state, whether that's bands, orchestras, choirs, jazz bands. This year is our first elementary orff ensemble. The top groups from across the state apply, are vetted and adjudicated, and then selected. And the Green Hill High School vocal ensemble has been selected to be one of those performing groups this year. Talk a little bit about why that's a big deal. You know, it's really easy for just the general listener to go, "Oh, cool, they're going to sing at Opryland. That's neat." But there's more to that. What is the value? Why is this such an important event?
Yeah. So most every music educator is a part of TMEA. And so
in the state of Tennessee.
Separate states for separate things. So that means that almost every music educator is going to be at this conference. And so just like for students, like the most scary people to sing for are not the audience. They're for each other. Like you are putting yourself out there to be able to sing for music educators across the state of Tennessee. And so to even be selected is a huge deal because that is also made up of Tennessee educators, like people that are doing this for a living. And so in that, like we have to be able to say like we've reached a pinnacle of like, no, people know that we're good and they want to showcase us in some way. Not everybody gets that opportunity. Most of the time, the biggest group you're going to sing for is your parents or at CPA, another choral group that's in your area. And so to be able to put my kids on a stage and be like, guys, like you get to sing for music educators across the state of Tennessee is a huge deal.
It's a huge deal.
But not even just that, but like for somebody to say like, this is like these people are worth listening to.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Especially to be kind of infant program. Like I know that my kids are good. Like I listen to them all the time. So I'm aware of the sound that they produce and the joy they have singing together. Like all of that is true. But for somebody else to say, no, like your kids are worth listening to. Let's see what you guys can put together so that we can all enjoy it.
Yeah. And professionally, this is a pretty big milestone. When you talk about the kind of stair step of performance levels, talking about just reputation building performances, performing at the State Music Education Association conference is a huge deal. And you're right. It's because you're being selected anonymously, to be clear, among everyone across this state of Tennessee that chose to apply. You're putting yourself up against incredible performers and incredible musicians and incredible teachers from across the state, and allowing your students and your program to be on display at that event. And you're right, that audience will be 80% music educators and then 20% community connected to your kids, and then district leadership. That's a really big deal, and that's a lot of pressure.
Yes.
You know, most teachers, most music educators would look at a State Music Education Association performance as, like I said earlier, a milestone. That is a step along the way. I was never fortunate to do that, but know that I get to be around people now, whether it's here in Wilson County or people that I'm connected to professionally and socially, it's such a unique experience, not just because of where you're performing, but how you got there and what it says to have gotten there.
Right.
So you'll perform a concert in April at the Opryland Hotel. You will perform in a concert with, is it Bartlett High School?
Mm-hmm.
Bartlett High School from just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. I know I am super excited about it. We've talked about it a lot with lots of people across the district who are super proud of that accomplishment and excited to be at that concert. You found out, when did you find out? Was that August, September?
I don't even remember.
Pretty early in the school year,
Yeah.
right? So when did you apply?
We actually applied last year. I think they were due by April.
Okay.
I believe. I actually applied for ACDA Southern because I was like, oh, that would be a
And
great opportunity.
ACDA is the regional equivalent and the national equivalent of TMEA. TMEA is state level. ACDA Southeast is regional, and then ACDA is also the national organization.
Correct.
Okay.
And they also have the same kind of process and idea, like you can apply to perform at their regional conference, which we didn't get, which I was fine with. Like, we're still very young. But then I believe you sent it out and we're like, hey, this is also an option. Like, just consider it. And so I was like, okay, well, I've already created a program like that I had to for ACDA. So I'll go ahead and just submit. And the funny thing is, like, you actually submit video, or not videos, but audio from the group you had the year before. So it's funny that this group is actually reaping the benefits of the group from last year. And surprisingly enough, over half of this vocal ensemble is brand new to vocal ensemble.
Wow.
I had a ton of seniors graduate. And so in that, like, they're really standing on the shoulders of the kids who came before, which is a testament, to the work that these kids before put in. I had an incredible senior class last year, and I'm having an incredible senior class this year. And so it just proves that the more that you pour into those kids, the more they get to own it. And I guarantee you half of those seniors are going to show up.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who got us to this spot. So we owe them the work that they did last year, that these kids are benefiting from that.
I remember doing the same thing after I graduated. Mount Juliet High School had been selected to perform at TMEA. That's back when it was still in downtown Nashville, which is crazy to think about that we ever had that conference in downtown Nashville. But I remember going back as an alumni and sitting just amongst, again, we talked about it, the music educators and the rest of that community, and just being blown away. And your students are going to get to experience that as well, which, again, we're so incredibly excited about. So you applied in April. There was a whole contingent of people that barged into your classroom at random one day in August and September, and now we're already in December.
Yeah.
It's crazy how quick the school year goes, that in 4 short months, you all will be in the Opryland Hotel in Tennessee Ballroom, DE, getting ready to perform one of the most important concerts that this program has performed. No pressure.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't feel it. I'm
Yeah.
thankful to be right here. I don't feel it for you. But just getting us to December, what has that preparation process looked like so far?
Well, so do you want me to go ahead and go into like what we're using for theme and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, that'd be great.
So I knew originally that I wanted to base the program off of some kind of literature, whether it be a poem or a book of some sort. And so I actually had this conversation with a couple of my seniors from last year, because two of them are going into music in college. They're at Belmont now. And we were talking through all of it and again, buy-in. And one of them, Mickey, said, hey, have you read this book? And I was like, well, no. And it was actually a different Mitch Albom book. It was The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. And he was like, there's going to be 5 songs. Like, just read it and tell me what you think. And I sent an email out to our English teachers, our English department, and I was like, hey, guys, like, this is what's happening. This is what we're applying for. I don't know if we'll get it, but could you give me maybe a book? Because I was trying to think also, like, it would be so cool if we could do a book study together as a group, like how many conversations we would be able to have, like how we could connect that to the program itself. And they sent me back a different Mitch Albom book, not The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, but Tuesdays with Maury. And one of our teachers, Janie Johnson, said, this is one we read usually with their seniors if they have an opportunity. I was like, oh, well, do you mind if we use it? And she was like, no, I think it'd be great. And so we have read through the book as a class, basically took the idea of, if you've never read it, I'm so sorry for the spoilers, but it's about this old professor and his student, Mitch, who found out that his professor, Maury, is dying with ALS. And so it's him walking through the end of Maury's life and working through his grief and figuring out how to take that grief and that worry and that tragedy and turn it into teaching others. And it's a wonderful book. And so we put the program together based on that. But that means that we got to read that book together as a class. And so we read through, we had some incredible conversations about grief and all the things that it talks about. And then I chose songs based on that. And so we've learned a good bit of the music, but we've been able to connect it with the story as we've gone. So it's been so much more meaningful than just a performance.
Sure.
It's been kind of life-changing in a way for some of these kids and things that they haven't thought of as they're growing into adulthood. Because I think I have probably 23, 24 seniors in this group. And so in that, like, they're ready to talk about some of these things as they move into college. And so it's been a mix of reading the book together, learning the rep together, and being able to connect that as well. Now we've had to take a break because Christmas.
Yeah.
We've had to work
no,
on
this
winter
is a
pieces.
busy time of year.
Yes.
And I think we'll talk about that here in a little while is managing a normal school year and then adding this piece into it. I can imagine that your preparation process is going to kind of have some ups and downs. It's going to have moments of pretty strong emphasis, and then we're going to pull back a little bit and focus on this winter concert or a concert performance assessment, if that's in the cards for later this spring. But so you did the book study. When did you all start reading?
We started reading. I knew that we were going to read the book either way, if we got selected or not, because I had already picked this music, and my goal was I'll just pick this music, and even if we don't get it, the music's worth it.
Sure.
And so we started reading probably halfway through August.
Okay.
So
yeah. So work through the book study. How early, and it's probably still a work in progress if I had to guess, how early did you set your rep? Or did you set that when you decided on the book?
I picked about 7 songs.
Okay.
And then it's been a constant conversation as we've been working through the pieces, what's going to stay and what's going to go.
Yeah.
So it's not fully set yet. We're not adding any more songs. But like one of our pieces, we're throwing in a Joni Mitchell song. And one of my alumni who is at Belmont, he's a composition and arrangement major. And he said, I would love to take a shot at arranging this to see what I can do with it. And so he did and sent it to me, and it's awesome.
Love that.
And it's better than the one that I ordered that we were already working on. And so my kids were like, can he play with us at TMEA? And I was like, well, yeah, absolutely he can. And so we're going to perform an alumni's piece.
That's great.
At TMEA, which is, it just is a nod to the culture again of like,
Sure.
Man, this is so awesome. And we're so excited to do this with him because he got us here.
Well, and talk about talks a lot about the experiences that our students have, not just while they're here. You know, that choir is not just something we do for 4 years and move on with our life.
Right.
There are people that find ways to use that professionally, whether that's compositionally or as an arranger or as a performer. And that's just 3 of the very direct ways that you can take what you do here and move it into a professional life. But to be able to display all of that in one concert with your students and your former students is pretty unique.
Yes, agreed. And it's kind of scary for him too. Like, you're a freshman in college and you're about to put your music out there for everybody to hear. And so it's been a conversation with him of like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, I'm good
Sure.
with it. Like, you're great. And so that's been an interesting conversation too. But he was so honored. And so it's very fluid. And I don't know that everybody thinks this way, but I'm very much of the vein of like, if it works and it fits, like, we're here to tell the story. And so whatever's going to help tell that story and invite the listener into the conversation that we're having on stage, like, can we do that? And what works to do that? So, I mean, we were talking today about a song, like, which one are we going to keep? Because we still have to get rid of a song, to be honest. So it's still a work in progress, but we aren't adding anything else. I will say that.
Got it. Well, I feel very confident you're not behind. I cannot imagine that everybody's rep list is set yet. Was in a group chat with one of the band directors of one of the performing ensembles, and he was bouncing some rep ideas back and forth. So I know that's a pretty, again, constantly changing process. But a lot of that has to do with making sure that you still have a normal school year.
Correct.
Right? This is an incredible opportunity. It's an incredible achievement, but it also can't hijack your entire school year. If not, you've spent 9 months on 5 pieces of music,
Right.
and it's a great experience, but there's so much more to a school year than that. What are some things that you're having to, or what are some things you've already done that you're managing to make sure that you're still maintaining that normal school year?
Well, I mean, our schedule is more packed this year than it ever has been. Opportunities have opened up because of this, and that's been super great. Like, I'm grateful to get my kids out there in the community, number one, but also that people are like, oh, like, you guys can sing. It's like, yeah, well, hopefully, you know? And so, like, we just had Mid-State and Wilson County Honor Choir, and I had a lot of kids. A majority of my vocal ensemble were in those events. And so, honestly, for them, it's kind of nice to not work the same 6 pieces over and over again.
Sure.
So some of that is a really needed break. But
for
like,
them and for you. Let's be
Correct.
fair.
Correct.
As a teacher, we enjoy the material that we're teaching, and everything is taught with a purpose or a direction. But at some point we go, my goodness, I'm ready to teach something different. And so I cannot imagine, especially as thorough as this preparation process is, I can't imagine trying to do that with the same 5-6 pieces across an entire year.
Yeah. So that's been nice. And then we're in the midst of, we have our Holiday on the Hill fundraiser coming up, which is our winter concert. And so it's been fun because part of those pieces are fun and have a whimsical aspect to it. So it's kind of nice to tap into that for a little bit. And so it's been a very much needed break on some of these things.
When is Holiday on the Hill?
It is December 16th.
At what time?
It starts at 6:30.
Okay.
But we're doing pictures with Santa Claus.
I love that.
And selling hot chocolate and having reindeer kid games beforehand in the commons. And so it's a great space for you to bring your whole family.
That's great.
The first act of the concert is very kid friendly, very fun, like songs like Jack Frost and fun. And then the second part is a little more serious, little more boring for the children. You know, we got to throw some of that in there too. And then all of the groups will be performing at Holiday on the Hill, not just vocal ensemble.
Okay, great. So is that just choral?
It's just choral.
Just choral.
Yeah.
And so tell us that date one more time.
December 16th.
At 6:30
Correct.
at Green Hill High School.
Yes.
Is there a cost?
There is. It's $5.
$5. Tickets at the door.
Yes.
Okay, great. If I want to buy on GoFan, can I buy on GoFan?
You can.
Or tickets on GoFan. Awesome.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure we plug that in there
Yeah,
so
appreciate
that
it.
we all get to take advantage. I know December is a pretty crazy time. December 16th, I'll actually be at the hospital with my wife, so I don't think I will make I don't think I will make that concert.
I think you should be at the
just to
hospital
be
with your wife.
clear, my wife and I are expecting. We'll be at the hospital with a newborn. Please don't overthink that or send me some scary email. Like everything is okay.
Awesome.
But you're right. Making sure that your students get a normal school year out of this is almost as important as the event itself.
Right.
Making sure that we're not just thinking to April 10th, 11th, 10th as a stopping point, but just as another step in the journey of the Green Hill High School Choir program is again, we talked about sustained success. If we just look at this as a stopping point, then all of a sudden there's going to be a whole chunk of kids in your choir that all they've done is prepare for this concert. And then this time next year, there's a problem.
Well, and I mean, I have 3 auditioned choirs. And so vocal ensemble is just one of those.
Sure.
I have a treble choir that's got 40 girls in it. And
Wow.
like, I've got a tenor bass group that's got 20 guys in it. And some of that is crossover for sure. But like, if all we're doing is TMEA, then what are those kids doing?
Sure.
And so like, some of my kids are just as excited about going to Disney as they are at performing at TMEA, which honestly, they're high schoolers. So
I love that.
of course.
Performing at Disney's great.
Yeah.
Where at Disney are you performing? Are you performing a concert?
We're doing Festival Disney.
Okay.
We're a little competitive.
I get it.
So we enjoy that aspect of it.
Love that.
So they'll compete and we'll get ranked and we'll see if we get another Mickey trophy, which is kind of fun.
Listen, I remember all of those trips from high school. I remember taking an afternoon or a morning from that trip and going to a concert hall and singing. And then I remember one of them, the awards banquet, was at a Medieval Times dinner.
Yeah.
Like that was the most incredible night. We were all so pumped.
Yeah.
It was just a really cool opportunity.
Yeah. It's great.
Medieval Times. That probably is the last time I've been to Medieval Times, and might be the last time I go to Medieval Times.
Yeah.
So why do this? Like, why subject you and your kids to this really intense process? Why, for you, is this an important step in the Green Hill High School choir's legacy?
I think the reason we haven't done it until now, one, like, would we have been ready last year? Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't even know if we would have made it last year, like, just depending on who's there. But I think opportunity for my kids is huge.
Yeah.
Like, professionally, I don't care. Like, I am satisfied going in this classroom every day and teaching. I have no beyond this. There
is no ego part of this accomplishment.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if anybody knows who I am.
Sure.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
Legitimately. And so, but I do care that people know that my kids are good and that they're solid singers. And more than that, they're solid humans.
That they're great people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so in that, like, if I can give my kids some kind of award or opportunity for the work that they put in every day, and for someone to be like, oh my gosh, like, you're in Green Hill Choir, you guys sounded incredible. Like, nothing means more to them and to their confidence building than for someone to be like, oh my gosh, like, you guys are incredible. And so, like, I care more about what's happening there and for the culture that's happening that we know that's happening here to be an offshoot. Like, if we're not going to be light in the world around us, if we're not going to be kind, if we're not going to be loving, and if that's not spreading outside of this room, then it's kind of a waste. And so if we can invite people into what's happening every day in this classroom and how they love each other and how they're good humans and how we can invite other people to be that as well, then, like, nothing's a waste. And so if I never give them an opportunity to soar and to show in that manner, then I don't believe as an educator and as their biggest cheerleader that I've done my job.
Yeah, and that's really what we want as teachers. We want to give our students every opportunity to be showcased.
Yes.
You know, it is not, for the successful teacher, it has nothing to do with us as the adult. It has everything to do with them, and then as soon as the piece is over, I'm going to go hide behind them so that they can see everybody that's appreciating them in front of them. And you're right to have talked about it, that it's more than just sounding great.
Yes.
It is more than just notes on a page, being able to sing with appropriate vowel shape and diction. It's everything else. Something that's really stuck out in my head is, and I can't tell you who told me this, but I heard it about a year ago, and it's the way we do one thing is the way we do all things. So the way your students sing and perform, if it doesn't match the way they acted walking through the hotel to get to that concert, that's a big hotel. It's a long walk, by the way.
Yeah.
It's all for naught.
Right.
If we're walking through the commons area and we walk past 20 pieces of trash, but we come into this classroom and we sound like $1 million, what's it worth?
Correct.
So those opportunities, not just performance-based, but opportunities to really learn and grow as young adults is what your students will take out of this classroom. Your students will remember this performance. I bet 10 years from now, they will have no clue what they sang, but they will remember how great the performance was. They will remember the preparation process, and they will have been forever impacted as humans just by how they conduct themselves. And that's not just in another choir concert. That's in their everyday life. That's how they conduct themselves inside of their families, inside of their relationships, in their professional careers. Every step of this way, every step of this process, because of the intensity of this preparation, has an impact permanently on these students.
Correct.
And so we talk about how important these performances are. We talk about this being a milestone accomplishment, but really all we're doing is just trying to give our students another opportunity to become incredible humans moving forward. And that is something that is so unique to our classrooms, because you see these students, you see them every day. Some of them you will see every day for 4 consecutive years.
Correct.
The impact that we can have in these classrooms is huge. And it doesn't matter if you're performing at TMEA. It doesn't matter if you're performing outside of Kroger. It doesn't matter if you're singing 20 minutes a day in your choir room, in your school, wherever in Tennessee that is. What we do in these classrooms has a huge impact on these students, especially if we allow it to.
Correct.
Especially if we have high expectations for our students, especially if we hold them accountable to each other and to this professional community. Our students will be permanently changed by it. And I don't know that I intended to really hop on that stool for a second, but it's so true. And a lot of that gets lost in what we do in just notes and words. And those are important. And the art itself is so important. But the lifelong impact that we're having on students and the people that get to experience this performance is just as important, if not more important.
Well, and I think that's in any classroom. Music's important, but is not the most important.
Sure.
English is important, but it's not the most important.
Sure.
Football is important, and that can go for anything.
Yep.
What's most important? What's going to be of more value to you when you're a father, when you're a mother, when you're a CEO, whatever that is, is it going to matter that you can hit a high C? No. Is it going to matter that you read Frankenstein? No, none of that matters if you don't know how to treat people.
No. And what we're doing is providing all of these small opportunities for students to gain those. I think one of the, and I'm going to work not to get emotional, one of the strongest impacts on me in learning how to parent was watching my mom when I was in high school, and how she supported my sister and I through everything that we did, and was constantly present and constantly giving, not just for us, but for every other student. She was at every concert. She was at every football game. She was in the concession stand. She was on the school bus. My parents, they drove the semi-truck. And that opportunity, again, looking back is just one little moment, but I learned more about being a parent just by being around that. And now, what year is this? 2025, 16 years later, being able to reflect on that and go, wow, that is a challenge for me. That looking at what my parents did, what my mom did, to support me pushes me every day to be a better parent. And you're right. It's not just music. It's not just art. It's any opportunity a student has inside of any of our buildings, when we allow them those opportunities. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
The student has to meet us somewhere and has to be willing to drive with us.
Right.
But it's up to us as educators to give them that path and to constantly remind them why it's important to be on that path.
And I think part of it too is, why do we give them these opportunities, is because I think most kids come in and in this day and age, like, most of them live in fear of failing, fear of messing up, fear of whatever that is. And so they create their own ceiling for themselves. These opportunities take away that ceiling.
Yeah.
What do you mean I get to do this? What do you mean I get to, I'm this number in All-State? Like, what do you mean? Like, that's not me. I literally had a kid this year that was like, I don't believe you, until I showed her the paper. So like, it shows them that there is more for their life than they think.
Yeah.
And they're capable of more than they think.
Yep.
And I think that's another side of it. It's like, yes, we want them to be good humans, but also like, who you think you are, like, there's more than that. And there's more that you can accomplish too.
And there's more, not just in how you can sing, but how you can contribute in that math class, how you can contribute in that English class, how you can contribute after school when you're working in the drive-through. We really took a turn, but I'm glad we did, because
Yeah.
it's all so important.
Yes.
It and it's not. These aren't just soft skills. These are real lifelong impacts that we can have on students when we challenge them and when we give them these opportunities. And again, it doesn't have to just be your state music education conference. It can be calling Walgreens and saying, hey, can we come and Christmas carol for an hour?
Yeah.
Think about all the people that are going to walk past your kids as you're standing outside of Walgreens or Kroger or wherever it is. If you're a business that's listening and you want to get someone like that involved, reach out to any of our schools. It doesn't have to be a high school. It could be any of our middle schools, any of our elementary schools, and say, hey, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some kids to come and play for a ribbon cutting, for whatever it is. We love those opportunities. And it's another opportunity for us to give back to our community, but also to allow our students to be in our community. So you have been teaching 13 years, 12 years. Is this 12?
This is 12.
Okay. So, and we'll just kind of wrap up this episode. We're going to do 2 more episodes just to give everybody a preview. We're going to do another episode where we bring a couple of your students in with us so that we can hear some perspective from them. And then I don't know if Mr. Dawson knows this or not. I haven't told him. I probably should have, but we're going to do an episode where we bring in your principal, Mr. Dawson, so that we can get an administrator's perspective as well. But 12 years in education, if you could go back and tell year 1 version of you anything, what would you tell them at this point?
Oh my gosh. Year 1 is rough. If you're not a teacher, just know that year 1 is rough.
It is pure survival.
Yes. I almost quit year 1. Legitimately. I was like, I'm not cut out for this. I cannot do this. I am not meant to do this. There's got to be something else that I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And LaConda McKinney, she is the
I
one
love
who,
Miss McKinney.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
She's literally, I tell her this all the time. And she's like, no, you're fine. And I was like, no, you don't understand. You talked me off the ledge of quitting teaching. And she sat down with me and taught me how to write a lesson plan. So if I could have told myself then, it would be what she told me. Like, you can do this. Like, you are meant to do this. Like, just because you're struggling does not mean that this is not your calling. You can do this.
Yeah.
And one day you're going to see where you fit in this job. Like, you're going to find your place. You're going to find your classroom. You're going to find what you were meant to do, and you're going to do it well. So I first year teaching needed to hear that of like, no, you can do this, and one day it's going to make sense.
That's great. I'm so thankful that you would give us just a little bit of time to not just talk about your path to TMEA in April, but also about all things Green Hill and really the impact of choir. My hope is that anyone listening to this, whether it's someone here in Wilson County or someone connected to TMEA, is able to take something from this, whether it's a community member or a family looking for a place for their student,
Yes.
or a teacher, whether that's a first-year teacher or somebody who's been teaching for 40 years. There is something about this process and what you're going through right now that they can use and they can take away. So thank you so much for giving us just a few minutes. Again, Holiday on the Hill is your next concert, right? December 16th,
Yes.
6:30 p.m.
Yes.
at Green Hill High School. $5 tickets at the door. Santa will be here. It'll be a whole big night. I'm very, very jealous that I won't be able to be here.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to make sure that I thank our wonderful sponsor that allows us to do exactly what we're doing here, meet great people and talk about wonderful things. This episode is brought to you by Gina and Lena, your trusted real estate team with Caldwell Banker Southern Realty. With over 30 years of combined experience and a background as former teachers with Wilson County Schools, Gina and Lena bring unmatched dedication, communication, and care to every client. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, they'll guide you with the heart of a teacher and the knowledge of seasoned professionals. Ready to make your next move? Contact Gina and Lena at Caldwell Banker Southern Realty. We did an episode with them right before Thanksgiving and got to talk about their path in Wilson County Schools. They were both teachers. They both taught at Stoner Creek.
Okay.
Lena was one of the music teachers at Stoner Creek, and now they're selling houses, and their path is really, really unique. They support our schools. They support our students. They support this podcast. Very, very thankful for them. Thankful for you. Excited to be along for this journey. I know it's going to be a really fast 4 months to get to April. There's a lot to happen between now and then, but I'm super excited to hear you all in April at TMEA.
Thanks.
This is, again, Wilson Live with Christina Baxley at Green Hill High School, talking all things choir. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day, and we will talk to you again soon on the next episode of Wilson Live.